King Queen suited. Definitely a raise. And a 3-bet. And this guy is 3-betting out of the big blind 11%, which is super high. So 4-bet stats. Folds 4-bet 44%. So I think calling behind here is okay. Because this hand flops really well. Unfortunately, not well on this occasion. Just 2 overs, backdoor gut shot, etc., etc. Backdoor flush and a gut shot. And so go ahead and c-bet it, which I guess is fine. He calls. And now we've got a gut shot, 2 overs, and a flush draw. And so I think we're continuing to bet here. And I just go ahead and shove. Okay, interesting. Let's go back. Got a raise and call the 3-bet. And so I go ahead and I'm betting. And then here he checks. There's 50 in the pot. I mean, I could bet 30 to 35 and kind of be put in that situation we had earlier with that hand. Or we can just go ahead and shove, have some decent fold equity. But it's paired board. So, flush may not even be good, straight may not even be good. But I think a lot of the time that shove is folded to. And the off times that it is called were like 60-40 dog, which ain't too bad. So I like the shove. And he calls, and he shows ace-9. Super shocking. So we're in that 60-40 spot. And I'm actually kind of impressed myself with memorizing that figure. And we hit. So, yeah, I actually like that play. I think playing draws strong and aggressive like this will help you get paid off when you do have the nuts, something like a set, and you're really taking advantage of that fold equity plus whatever equity you actually do have in the hand in terms of whatever it is it might be. If that makes any sense. Sorry for that language, but hopefully you follow me here. All right, queens again. And so everyone limps, and then I raised 8, which is pretty big out of the big blind, but I think that's the absolute perfect amount. And we get a limp call to 8 with the guy who's got a shorter stack. The flop, we've flopped a set on a monotone board, so it's mandatory, especially with this guy having only $26, let's say. So put him all in. He calls with top pair and a 3-high flush draw. Oh my god. So he's gotten it in really bad. 70-28. And he hit. We're not dead. Unfortunately didn't hit this time. So didn't run good on that hand. So I guess things do even out in the long run. But a very standard hand. Played it fine. Just against this type of player, I guess he just doesn't let go of top player in a 3-high flush draw. All right, ace-7. Standard steal. He calls. We've got it's a 51-22. He folds to c-bet 16%. So I think we're betting here for value absolutely 100% of the time. And we just keep betting. He min raises us, which is really weird. We're not folding to this guy. His aggression goes ridiculously high on later streets. And we've rivered 2 pair. He bets pretty small, and this might be one of those hands where you got to raise. And so I do a min raise, and I had a feeling that's what I would do. Just because the stupid hands that he has would really fold to a bigger raise. It's just kind of a super thin value bet here. Too thin? Maybe. But he calls this, and he actually re-raises. So that's really, really interesting. You almost never see that, and that had to have scared me, but I think this is a call and not a raise, which, given the fact that there's 113 in the pot, 55 behind, yeah, I think we're just calling. And he just shows a bluff, the pair of 4s, so definitely something to take note. And you just gotta, play the range. And we were just so far ahead of it, especially at the river. So, it just I knew what the plan was here was we'll min raise him because he's just never calling a bigger raise, and haha, he actually raised, and so might induce him later with a min raise on the river if that's kind of his MO, is to I sense weakness when someone does that on the river, which is always the opposite. So interesting hand. Ace 9 in the cutoff. Definitely raising 450 is quite standard against a 72-11 chronic limper. Get a couple calls and we've hit top pair. He donks 1 into 1450, so we raise it up to 8. Probably should have been about 10. Let's make it standard c-bet size. And this guy calls, which is the weird thing. Huh. That's interesting because he's check calling here to a raise. This guy calls, so nobody's gone anywhere, and then a board kind of connects. A really weird king queen straight just hit, and we check behind, which I don't know. I guess I don't totally hate. 13. I think we're calling this, and he shows ace king, unfortunately. So really bizarre that a guy like this didn't 3-bet, but we do have a fair amount of hands, and it shows 0 3-bets to a steal, but I mean, I think that was considered still a steal. 4% 3-betting overall, so just kind of a absolute top range kind of hand for him. Just kind of shocking that he showed up with ace king. All right, queen jack in the cutoff. Standard raise. Oops, I didn't mean to show that. Well, we'll just go ahead and show it since you already know it. Very standard looking hand here. Looks like I've flopped overcards, a flush draw, and a straight draw. So he donks, I raise, he calls. Stupid call. With 26, he bets half his stack. I get it in, he calls, and I hit my flush. So pretty standard hand against a guy who just clearly did not know what he was doing. All right, ace 10. Raising under the gun only because there's only 4 people in the hand. You don't want to normally be raising that too often. If you're at a tight table, sure. Flop trips. And a little light there on the c-bet. Should have been like $5-6. He calls. And we plan to check raise here just because he didn't have too much left, so that's fine. Pretty standard hand. So let's take a look at one more hand here. So this will be your last hand. 10-9 offsuit, standard steal, and we flop second pair. We check it. Would have liked to see bet there. Turn 2 pair. He bets $6.20. Very interesting. We call behind. I don't know why. And then he bets 31. And so at this point, I think we're just calling. And he shows 7-5. So definitely want to take a note of his weird bluffs. But I think the turn was definitely a place to be raising, considering our hand was really vulnerable there. Just trying to think if I had a read before this that would dictate this, because I really would never do this unless I had a really, 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 really good read on a guy and had a note on him already that he would do something like this. So, again, I have a feeling that was the case, but normally definitely should be raising there on the turn. All right, well, that does it. 100 no limit, 6 max, some interesting hands, some definite big-time bonehead moves, and some other interesting plays. Hopefully it benefited your game, and we'll see you next time here on behalf of TightPoker.com. Take care.